Hola, Madridistas. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the likes and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 4K. Pick up our sponsors, as always, Talksport Fan Network. Talksport is the biggest sports radio station in the world. Everything on LBR is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network. Also, big up Fanatics, official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. Go check them out. Make sure you use our affiliated link in the description below. Right then, Getafe away, Colosseum, Alfonso Perez. Not a happy hunting ground for us. I mean, we have had decent results against Getafe, but we all know, even before we look at the calendar and see Getafe, there is an absolute battle, bloodshed awaiting us. Going across town, I don't think there is many clubs in Europe, right? Maybe not even in the world, who has to face the likes of, Getafe, Rayo, and Atleti as their closest rivals, cross-town rivals, in the same season. It's not easy to put your body through that. It's not easy as fans to actually sit through games like this, because it's one thing to be really, annoyed at how defensively, astute, your opponent would be, or, how dogged they would really be to, save their goalpost. But on the other hand, it's really difficult for me to, watch our players being hacked down and then really, they have no intention to play the ball. No, Getafe and especially Bordalas has earned a reputation for really telling them not to play football, but to really ruffle your feathers and put you off your stride and not make this a game of skill and precision. They just want to make this an all-out brawl, and at times it got to tipping point, especially if you remember, Carreras had a couple of lashes out. A couple of times he lashed out at the wing and whatnot. I mean, this is expected. I'm glad we found a way out eventually. Even though it was, again, this season, I don't know. Things keep going our way. I'm not going to complain about it, but the red card. It really changed the way, Getafe tried to, approach the game. I mean, they were still defending, but they weren't just, deep in the half, because they actually had their, fair share of chances and forays into our third. And if they had better players, I'm pretty sure one of them is actually going at the back of the net. But we'll get into it. Sahil, talk to me, bro. First game after the international break, Juve in midweek, classic of the weekend. This game doesn't, again, really provide you with enough evidence, to just suggest that Xabi Alonso has a lineup in his mind, or we have, a strong case to make for the La Liga crown this season.
Yeah, firstly, good evening, Sinead. It's been a while since we've been here, and like you said, ahead of a tough week, a rugged game like this is the last thing you want, going into another set of tough fixtures against Juve and Barca. Getafe have traditionally been a team that has been known to cause problems at the Colosseum. Their style of play under Bordalas is well known, and many would say that a 1-0 win against a 9-man Getafe is what you would expect of a Real Madrid team, of any team that goes with the intention of winning and not getting too many of their players injured. But Getafe is always going to be a physical challenger, and as it was. But as always, you come away with the game with a sense of Real Madrid could have done more. Could they have done more to justify their worth and of the players that were starting on the pitch? Definitely, yes. But did they do enough to come away with the 3 points without any major, injury woes? I think that's also true. because if you look at our results, like you mentioned this season, we just keep getting away with it. We keep getting away with mediocre results. Sorry, pardon me.
Performance, yeah.
Mediocre performances with, at the end of the day, we get the result, which is also not the greatest feeling, because you know that when bigger games, bigger challenges like Juventus and Barcelona await, those games aren't, you mentioned lineup. I still don't know if Xabi Alonso knows his best pathway to his team scoring a goal, right? Because chances
Yeah.
have come not in abundance, but in a variety of ways, none of which have worked consistently well. We haven't crossed the ball particularly well. We haven't played, link up all that well. But I'm sure we'll digress into all of that. It's just, uh, like I said, on multiple weekends, in multiple game weeks in the past, especially this season. Um, I'm happy to be away with, the 3 points, but the performance does not entice me on that much.
Yeah. It shouldn't be surprising, given the fact that all these players struggled last year as well. I mean, the whole setup we have, it doesn't scream stability. It doesn't scream confidence. I mean, apart from individual players pulling off individual stuff, there is seldom, like I've written this one particular sequence that we actually tried to look like a proper football team. When, if you remember, when we played back to front, from defense all the way up to, Mbappe. Carreras, attempting that nutmeg, that coming off, and then, passing the ball to Tchouaméni, who backheels it. It finds its way to Jude, and Jude, puts Mbappe through, but Mbappe shoots near post, and, the ball kind of, shapes the side netting. Stuff like that we haven't seen enough. I mean, this is a side that has so much quality, so much experience. It's not like, we have quality that is raw, and, we are kind of looking out for people who would take authority, would take, the leadership role, and guide these boys on the pitch at times, because Xabi Alonso can't lead, the players every single minute of the game. Like he can't really be holding hands, right? But again, we like we saw for many a nights this season, it requires an ingenious moment from, the likes of Vinicius, or the likes of Mbappe, or like Guler, who is arguably our, most impactful player, because this man, he just turns up and, saves the day every single time. But with the likes of Barcelona, like you said, with Juve, I mean, Juve has been going through their own rough patch. They haven't won in the last 5-6 games or something, so they're also kind of struggling. But when we actually come up against tougher tests, would we actually, stand a chance to win matches? Not sure. My fears were, proven wrong. I mean, proven right at the Metropolitano. I just hope that's not the case anymore. Barcelona doesn't look pretty good either. I watched the game against Girona. Girona should have scored at least 3 goals. I have no idea, how Porto kind of, shot it against the post. The couple of chances they were in behind Barcelona, they should have really taken advantage of. I'm pretty sure we'll get chances like that, but then again, at the back, we are an absolute mess. Going off of just Getafe, Sahil, if you deep it, Getafe isn't the side that screams, yeah, we are going to test your defensive, ability, or we are going to
Except
test you
from set pieces.
Yeah, you could say that. But Getafe, I mean, most La Liga teams, contrary to popular belief, they do play a brand of football that wins them games, right? It necessarily isn't about packing the box and just praying to the heavens to give them a set piece. I mean, Getafe has their own set of decent players who can turn turn it on a given night. And if you actually deep it, the game we just saw half an hour ago, the chances that fell to Getafe's players, the likes of Kiko Femina, the likes of Jenny at the back. Yeah, Luis Villa. Um, these guys are really good. Okay, they're playing the top flight for a reason. But if it fell to the upper echelon of players, I mean, we are looking at a result that's drastically different. If it's someone else other than Kamara at the end of the 96th minute chance, I mean, Sahil, to get that kind of chance, like the commentators have already given up. Getafe has given up. Borderless has given up. They're packing 9 players into the box and waiting for the clock to count down. Because when they're down to 9 men, when they get 2 red cards, it's almost like we have to go into damage limitation because we can't let the goal difference go out of hands. We have to kind of keep it tight and just see this out. 1-0 loss, we take it, but we concede that chance. It's Fede Valverde. It's Raul Asensio. What are these guys doing? I mean, it's I'm telling you,
It's just complacency at that point, right? Because it's not for a lack of ability. It's just complacency when you've done something.
Nobody said this squad lacks ability. Yeah.
No, obviously not. Yeah. But if you've done something for 94, 95 minutes on the trot and you've defended against a team that honestly hasn't posed you as many challenges as another team would, but you've only had to keep the ball for, 65-70% of the game, and then you're so used to it, and that's exactly when something like that hits you, when the other team hits you on the break and suddenly they have the ball at the end of the game, and when you're not expecting them to rush forward with 9 men, that's when something like that can hit you. And even at the highest level of the game, things, a brain fade moment like that from Fede Valverde can happen, especially from Fede Valverde, who's not exactly, should I put it, happy or content playing in that position. I know he's more than happy to contribute when he can, but for him to be made the second or third choice right back is not what he would have pictured at the start of his Real Madrid career, certainly. But that's a separate topic. But I just don't feel Valverde's performances, scream the kind of dominance in his stride as he used to in midfield. And also Raul Asensio is just erratic. He's too prone to those lapses of judgment when, at the back, be it a quick player, be it someone who's physical. We know we've praised Raul Asensio for his maturity with the ball at his feet, but also he's made mistake with the ball at his feet. So the way I look at it is this Real Madrid defense right now is a mess because of injuries, but that can be alluded to a lack of fit players. But the attack is just abysmal because the attack is not injured, right? Jude Bellingham's back. He's pretty much a part of that formidable front four. Xabi Alonso is trying his best to inculcate him back into the first 11, but his performances just don't give him enough of a reason to keep starting him over Arda Guler, right? Because in a world where Fede Valverde is playing on right back, and Eduardo Camavinga is also being reintroduced into the 11, I can imagine Jude Bellingham finding a place for himself in at the crown of the midfield. But with how things have been going, I know he's good at winning the ball back, and he always has been a runner. He's been a worker on the pitch. Like he's pressed relentlessly. It's just that his creative abilities don't come to the fore that often. And this is not me saying that he doesn't have creative ability. So there's multiple positions on the pitch where I see individuals that haven't performed to the best of their capabilities. And that's part of Real Madrid's problems right now. Like the identity crisis within the squad and within some positions is severe. With who are these players at this point in their career? Like, is Mbappe a 9? Right? Is Valverde truly a default backup right back? Right? Is Camavinga that second holding number 6 position to Tchouaméni, just because it makes Tchouaméni look a better player? Is Rodrigo truly, is Rodrigo truly going to be given enough minutes in his natural position? But yeah.
Since we are on this topic, just going off of the starting 11, Alaba, Camavinga, and Jude Bellingham, right?
Yeah.
sorry, Kama, Alaba and Jude Bellingham. Does any one of these guys start the Clasico if you were the manager side next week?
No, because even Kamavinga doesn't offer enough with what he used to be good at, right? Some of his best performances for Real Madrid have come in the Champions League, in games that have been open, that have been end to end, because that's where his abilities, his ball carrying abilities shine. He's never been a brilliant passer of the ball, Kamavinga. He's been a good ball
But
carrier.
don't you think? But don't you think the Clasico would be end to end given how Barcelona approaches the game?
Well, it could be, yes. And then in that case, I would bring him on, but I don't think he's done enough to justify me starting him, like Xabi Alonso starting him over an Arda Guler. But obviously, you cannot have two tens in the team. So if you're starting Jude, and I'm not saying that Jude starts by default, because nobody starts by default in this team, not even Vinny. So what I'm trying to say is that Kamavinga doesn't offer, at this point in time, enough with his passing range to justify a starting berth, because I know his ball winning capabilities are extraordinary, and when he runs back,
it was on full display today. I mean, he had
slide into someone and win a ball clean without getting a nick off the opposition, players socks even. That is something that's brilliant to watch, and obviously we will need plenty of that in the Clasico. And even when he, prevents someone like Alvaro Carreras from getting cornered on the left flank, he helps him out defensively. I love seeing that. I love seeing other facets of his play. It's just that he is a midfielder, regardless if he's playing as a second eight, or as a second six, or as a lone eight. Especially even more as a lone eight, where his passing range needs to be questioned, because Tchouaméni is not playing those balls above, across to his left back or to his right back. Kamavinga, well, I see him in those positions a lot, but he's not playing those balls.
Even the couple of long balls he tries, I mean, it looks pretty amateurish, and he's a player. Also, like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, because just because what he has shown in the last couple of years, last 3 years, has really given me a decent sample size of what he's capable of. Right, he is a player, like you mentioned earlier, who is capable of driving the ball in field, drawing pressure, and then laying it off to someone who's unmarked. He is an all-action midfielder, right, at his best. But when he tries to, when he's actually struggling with confidence and then tries to do way too much, it almost looks like he doesn't take his time with possession. He just tries to, just get rid of the ball way too soon. Yeah. I saw that a couple of times this game, where he lost possession back to back. This side, and it's the way it's
he loses the ball way too cheaply. You mentioned something brilliant there, because I've noticed this. He loses the ball way too easily in important positions where you wouldn't expect him to give the ball away, or you wouldn't expect any player in the top flight playing for Real Madrid to give the ball away so easily. It's not even that he's trying something extraordinary. He I hate to say that he misplaces basic passes sometimes. And it's not great to see, because he's a player with so much potential, and a player that's done done so much in Champions League, tournaments and runs of the past. And Jude Bellingham is a conversation. It's a different conversation, honestly. I know he's another midfielder, but he's the midfielder that you would expect either to give us a creative edge, someone who's dynamic and can also play a pass in the final third, or you expect a Jude Bellingham to be the second, presence in the box with his heading capabilities and just, with his finishing range. And now, with the situation now, he's not doing either of those things properly. I wouldn't even say he's doing any of them, because as far as physical presence, or as far as muscle in midfield goes, we've got presence in midfield, we've got runners in midfield. What we don't have in midfield is someone like Arda Guler, who's there, who has the vision to play that final pass. And I'm not disputing Jude's vision. I'm not disputing his creative abilities. I think he's a more than decent crosser of the ball, and he can find Vinny in good positions, and he can find Mbappe in good positions when when he's allowed to. It's just that he's not going through his best run of form right now, especially having come back from injury. So I think we need a creative midfielder, and Arda Guler, despite his defensive deficiencies, uh, he gives that midfield what it needs, what it so terribly needs sometimes. And Alaba is something that you would only say based on fitness and availability of other midfielders. Like if you would ask me Alaba or Raul Asensio, I would say Raul Asensio. Would I say Raul Asensio? I would say Raul Asensio actually. But then again, who's going to be the leader of that defense, right? Because you're not seeing Militao take that much take that much charge. Carreras is new. Valverde is going to be trying to slot into midfield at times. So again, that's one I'm torn on. Like the other two, I'm absolutely certain of. But Alaba is one I'm torn on because it's purely based on someone that can add a sense of calm to that defense. I might start him. I might start him over Asensio, but yeah.
Alaba, I don't think Alaba is going to be fit. I hope the injury isn't serious, because I watched him during the international break for Austria. He looked like he was back to his best. He looked like he was on it. He looked like he knew what he was doing. But then again, the international games are played at an entirely different pace. Right? It's not exactly the frenetic pace of La Liga or the Champions League. So the fitness level required is of a different level. But I was happy to see him start. It was gave me a bit of nostalgia. With Militao and Alaba back as the CB, the infamous 2022 Champions League winning centre back duo. Was good to see them back. I just hope Alaba has a lot more to give us, especially since this is his last season. It would be a pretty good way to set him off, if he has a significant role to play, if we go on to win something big. But yeah, Jude Bellingham looks slow, looks like he has at least a couple of more gears to go before he can, get his full fitness back. But then again, if you go through the game, some of his moments where he basically, barges his way through, David Soria and almost, puts the ball in the back of the net. That stuff Jude Bellingham does, when he's at his best. So I saw glimpses, and that's something that only Jude Bellingham can do in our side. Tchouaméni can't do it. Camavinga can't do it. Even Guler can't do it. They can't get stuck in. And we need a guy like that. Jude Bellingham offers so much defensively, offensively. That guy is the complete package. So I just hope, going into the Clasico, if we manage his minutes properly, especially against Juve, who are struggling, who we are facing at home, who in all honesty, is going through an identity crisis. The Bianconeri doesn't really look convincing. So I just would hope that we get Jude Bellingham back at 100% on Sunday. But moving on. Mastantuono is another conversation, Sahil, right? There's one section of the fan base who has completely embraced. I mean, they were united for the first 3 weeks, let's say, before this international break. The period before this international break and was the period where, a bit of murmur started coming in from, various sections of the fan base. I quite understand why that was the case, because although he has had some exemplary performances, where he just is that guy who keeps his head down and tries to make something, never really shying away from confrontation, never really shying away from, a couple of moves, not really, coming off. He is a persistent, hard-working guy, right? Who's 18, who's fearless, who is just daring, right? Like, he's a breath of fresh air. We have all embraced him to an extent, but ever since the last 2-3 weeks, and especially now, this game, it kind of is starting to feel like all the vibrant energy and the non-stop running and the constant pressing that Mastantona provides, there's little to no end product, Sire.
Yeah,
And
yeah. No, I was
that's the
afraid
truth.
that it.
Mm,
I was afraid that that's exactly the point you were going to come to
mm, mm,
when you delve to the end of that conversation. But Masantuono for me is an entity that must not be looked at in terms of
mm,
end product. And I say this having learned my lesson with Vinicius when he came on the
yeah, yeah,
stage
yeah, yeah, yeah. Me
as a
too. Me
newcomer
too.
in 2018, because I criticized Vinicius for his lack of end product. But we must consider this. Mastantuono is 18 and he has come from River Plate. He's Argentinian and right, he's not played in this league before. The intensity of this league is completely different to what he is used to.
Yeah.
Uh, he is a relentless runner. He is someone who will offer you a lot of pressing on that right wing, regardless of whether or not his on the ball situation is on the ball form is been good, and that's one of his characteristics that I know the Murderman will love, especially in situations where things aren't exactly going our way, because you need somebody to show that heart, right? You need somebody to run their lungs out regardless of the situation and of the dynamic of the game. So Mastantuono is that guy, and when it comes to end product, I just see him as a raw talent who might not know what the best course of action is in every situation of every game, right? That is
Yeah.
something that will only come with a lot of trial and error. And let's not forget, he's not someone who has been introduced onto the scene gradually. He's not someone who's been given 20 minutes every game and then eventually starts a game after 4 or 5 games. He's been starting since the very beginning
Yeah.
of the season.
Yeah.
So that just tells me that Xabi Alonso has a lot of trust in him. And if you want to look at, if you want to speak of a certain lack of goal, of end product, then you must look at.
My question is, like, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and we really don't get to see, what happens in training sessions apart from, snippets, our YouTube handle puts out. It isn't extensive enough to know what goes on in training. Because I would wonder, what would it take for Endrick to get some minutes? What would it take for Gonzalo to get some minutes? Because that's my question. Because like I love these kids, right? Endrick, I do have a soft spot for, because he's Brazilian. Gonzalo, he's one of us. He came through the academy. He is, born and brought up in Fabrica. So I would expect them to get more minutes than the tail end of insignificant games where they barely has enough time to tie their shoelaces on. That's the question that has been burning in my head for quite some time. What is going on behind the scenes that we don't see? There'll be plenty that we don't see, but like I would like to see Gonzalo get some minutes, Andre get some minutes, Rodrigo gets some minutes when he isn't starting, significant minutes where you look at a couple of players and you take them off immediately. He does that with Mastantuono. He does that with Guler. I get it.
Yeah,
But
certainly. I
I'm
think
just
he looks at each player differently in this
mm,
very viewpoint, because
mm,
I have certainly noticed that he doesn't take Mbappe off during the latter stage
mm,
of games. He doesn't take Benny off as much as he does take Rodrigo off, because every time he
mm.
starts Rodrigo gets off by the 60th or the 65th minute.
Today he didn't. Today he didn't.
He did.
No. I think maybe towards the very end, maybe. But
Yeah, it
usually it's
was
the 60 or
80th. It
70,
was
right?
after the 80th minute. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
Rodrigo usually gets subbed off because Brahim is there on the bench. So
Mm,
it's just, I feel like he thinks of it because we have to consider that Kylian Mbappe has brought him more than a few late goals this season. So I don't think that is something that even crosses his mind unless Mbappe is actively asking for a substitution, because Mbappe.
I'm not talking about Mbappe, but these
I get
guys like
that. I
Gonzalo.
get that
Yeah.
he's talking about Mbappe. It's just, I'm not going to sit here and say that Gonzalo is brilliant and Enrique is brilliant and it's raw talent that needs to be used, because that's
Mm,
the bottom line. That
mm.
doesn't need to be told. I'm just saying what goes through Xabi Alonso's mind might not always be
I'm telling
obvious
you,
to us.
this is going to come come back and haunt us, because we have seen in high-profile games, all these guys, they tend to go missing. Your Mbappe's tend to go
That's a fair
missing.
criticism.
Vinicius
That is a fair
tend to go
criticism.
missing. And
But
we need these guys warmed up enough so that we can bring them on to make something happen, right?
yeah,
Last
yeah.
year we saw that with Endrick. Carlo throwing him on when he's about to lose his job against Arsenal. Go do something for 10 minutes.
Well,
After barely
and
giving him any minutes. So yeah,
Carlo was brave enough to throw the dice, to roll the dice with Enric all that, every now
mm,
and then.
mm,
Xabi does tend to trust Mbappe with his goal scoring. Even if Mbappe hasn't broken through in the first 70 minutes of the game, I think Xabi
mm,
trusts him to stay on the remaining 20, or even 15 of the remaining 20, and do the job for us. And you might say that he's placing all his eggs in one basket, because then Mbappe might go missing in a game, and in a big game, God forbid, and Xabi looks like a total idiot. Uh, but that's the thing, that you can't really put down a marker on that right now, because
mm,
Mbappe's goal scoring record right now is pretty good. He's been scoring
yeah.
every game for the past 10, 11 games for club and country. Today again, he's brought the goods for us. I know he's not had the best or most productive of games, but I just feel Enric and Gonzalo Garcia, those guys will start the Copa del Rey games, will start your Super Copa games, hopefully. Uh, and I hope Xabi doesn't emphasize too much on what the
No,
end
they
product
won't.
is in
They
those
won't
games.
start the
Because
Super Copa games. No chance.
I mean, that can only be I can only hope and pray for that. But um, because the football calendar is so compressed at this point,
Yeah, you
Sunil.
know it. I know it. These guys don't know it,
Yeah,
so it's very, very annoying that some of our prospects they don't get any
yeah.
minutes. I'm not saying take Mbappe
And to be
off. I'm not
fair,
saying take Vinny off.
Mastantuono
It
is
should be.
virtually also a prospect, right?
Mm,
Mastantuono
mm,
is
mm,
just 18. Enric has been here 2 seasons longer than him. So it doesn't make any sense. It's just Mastantuono fits into the one position where we don't have a starting player. And
mm,
Xabi Alonso sees him as that player. If we didn't have a nine, if we didn't have somebody who Xabi Alonso sought to fit as a nine, I'm pretty sure he would have started Gonzalo.
mm,
But fortunately we do, and Gonzalo's, he's more than proven his worth at the Club World Cup in the United States. Uh, I just also hope and pray that Gonzalo Garcia gets more minutes, because I don't want to see these guys go out on loan and never appear again, especially not someone like Gonzalo Garcia. Uh, because Endrick at the end of the day is a big money move, and there will be more and more pressure on the manager to make that move work without a loan move. But Gonzalo is a personality that I feel like the club at some point might suggest him to, move elsewhere for a couple of seasons and then come back and see how the situation is. Because
mhm.
I mean, if they can do it with someone like Luka Jovic, who was a 60 million failure, and Gonzalo isn't even a 60 million signing, nor is he a failure. He's just someone
Mm.
who hasn't been bought for big money, so there's not as much added pressure on the board or on the
Yeah,
manager to make
it
to
sucks.
make
It,
that
it, it
work.
really what like again this again. I'm telling you, this is we are setting very bad precedents by not really giving
Yeah, you're
academy
setting up
products.
you're setting these young guys up for failure. Yeah, Sunil. That's what
So
would seem
yeah,
like. But
let's move on. Let's move on. Our club
yeah,
is built the way it's built. It's built to foster superstars. It's built to massage egos. At the end of the day, Sahil, we are a sporting institution that's slowly but surely we are moving away from the very essence of what makes us Real Madrid. Fortunately,
what did you think about the, like, just
mm,
speaking on that topic? I wanted to ask you briefly. There was news about the club sharing the club selling shares uh, to
mm,
private investors.
it was always going to happen. There isn't anything that surprises me anymore, especially given the commercial aspects of football in general. If Barcelona can sell their soul, why can't we do it? but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be to that extent. It's going to be something insignificant. I don't think they'll have enough say to do anything that yeah that throws us off, or has a significant impact on our day to day. I don't think that's going to be ever the case. But yeah, stuff like this, man, you have to really look past it, because there's no other way. That's where the world is at. That's where football is
Yeah.
at in 2025.
I mean,
Unfortunately.
As far as selling their soul goes, I think the players did hold a 20-minute silence. Sorry, a 20-second silence at the beginning of today's game in protest
Yeah.
against the Miami thing, that La
Mm.
Liga has allowed certain teams to play outside of Spain. Again, a lot of things I don't understand, but
Mm. Yeah,
like
I
to
mean,
the
what
average
do I
football
say?
fan, that's just selling your soul, right? I don't know if somebody can explain that to me in a commercial
Mm.
sense, but
Mm. Villarreal, to be honest, has a lot of fans in the US. Barcelona also does have a lot of fans in the US. So, in terms of money that can be earned, revenue that can be earned by selling tickets, it's a positive.
just that's what the
But
Super Copa is there for, right? So then
Super Copa is said in the
in Saudi for
in the Middle
have they
East.
given them a contract?
Yeah, I know. It's in the Middle East. We're straying off topic. It's insignificant. At the end of the day, it's for money.
Yeah, no, makes
Like
sense. Yeah,
if
I
they
just
if they
wanted to
actually
touch
cared
upon
about
it.
what
Yeah,
like if they cared about what we thought, there'd be a lot of things that would be done differently. There
mm.
wouldn't be a 8 game Champions League group phase. No way in
Yeah,
hell. I mean, the drill. There won't be a Club World Cup played like a fucking FIFA World Cup right after a season ends. So this isn't about us or the fans anymore. It's about making money and finding an excuse to make money at the end of the day.
yeah.
But yeah, moving on. Ashik was mentioning Alaba injured again, not a win, but Swagger, a boring game. Thankfully, FN was on. I mean, uh, it's good that you could take your mind off it, because I was sitting through this game and I was struggling to stay awake. I'll be very honest. Getafe Madrid games used to be, cage fight. I mean, this was a cage fight as well, but not to that extent. So there wasn't much action for me to sink my teeth into. Our team, especially on the ball, Sahil, are they good to watch, Sahil? I ask this question every week. Has anything changed? Are we good to watch? For me, we are an ISO. I really can't look at how we play for more than 5 minutes straight. It is really, really, really a struggle to sit through, how we play. But I'm not sure what do you think about it. But Sahil, you here?
Yeah. I am sorry. Can you say that again? I'm sorry, please.
Oh, okay. No. I was just saying, at times I struggle to really look at the way we play and enjoy the game, because I can't
Yeah,
really
of
pay
course. I
attention
mean,
for more than a couple of minutes.
I was just gonna ask you on this topic, Sinead. Like, if
Mm,
I have to watch my team win as a result, purely as a result of a
mm.
substitution that didn't go the opposition team's way, like if Neom doesn't come on for what's his name, uh,
Alex Sanchez, yeah. Mm,
yeah, if he doesn't come on for that guy, and if he doesn't punch Vinny in the face, I don't think we're
mm.
winning this game, Sinead. Like, I don't
Alex
mind
Sanchez is the
winning.
guy who got sent off
No.
after.
The other guy who
Kiko
wouldn't
Femina,
come,
Kiko Femina.
Kiko Femina. So if Neom doesn't come on film and punch Vinny in the fucking face, and he doesn't go off, and because we score literally like what 2 minutes after that, right, from the very next
Yeah,
attack, because
yeah.
they've spent 2 minutes complaining to the ref about that, and then just as we restart, we go and score. I don't
Do
think
you
we'll.
think that's a straight red? Do you think that's a straight red? Because someone in the comments was mentioning, and even across Twitter, I mean, they were saying,
Yeah.
we are getting favored by the refs. What's your opinion on the red card? Is it absolutely 100% certain that's a red? Because I've seen people being shoved down when they're about to go on a breakaway on the counter. Plenty of times, whether it be by the throat, by the neck,
Yeah.
sometimes to the
Mm.
face. they never send off in my experience.
It's a dicey one, because if there was another team, if there was a Real Sociedad defender, I would have said that's not clear red, right? But because we know how nasty and how, you know, clever these guys from Getafe can be, they just have a tenacity and a necessity to do that every now and then. And it happens in all of the games where the defender appears to be doing something that he doesn't mean to do, and he gets sent off for it. And then you just sympathize for him because he was in a bad position. But let me tell you, these guys are way too clever with the kind of fouls they make and the kind of things they do to frustrate an opponent, because no way does a team or their defenders end up in the same position game after game, season after season, purely as coincidence, because they base their whole philosophy off this. They even win a lot of games off this, so it's not like they can complain, Sunit. If that doesn't work, right, if that works, instead of getting that red card, if it's just a yellow card and it pisses Vinny off, Vinny at that point he's throwing everything at Getafe to try and get them to crack. I know he was not exactly effective, but he was trying things on the left flank ever since he came on. So if Vinny gets even more frustrated and he, starts shooting from outside the box like he did, that would have worked. That would have worked in their favor, and they would have gone on with a 0-0. And we would have called that a well-deserved 0-0.
Yeah.
So it's just because it's Getafe, I say he deserves it.
Can you answer me this question, right? I mean, I'm just straying off topic because I just saw Ashik's comment here. He was mentioning, high-profile games. Mbappe scores a hat-trick. Meanwhile, the defense goes missing. Last time I checked, Mbappe and Vini are in centre-backs. He's, probably throwing a dig at me. He's mentioning just a little detail that gets ignored by football scholars. Against PSG, did Vinicius and Mbappe start the game? If I remember, they did, right? They did. No? They did. In my memory, they did.
Yeah, because that was not the first time we talked. The first time we talked about Vinny getting benched under Xabi was much later in the season.
So when I say big players like Mbappe and Vinicius, they guys missing in big games, didn't they go missing against Arsenal? Then they go missing last year against Bilbao away. Huge game. Mbappe misses a pen. I'm not going after Mbappe, but these guys, they do tend to go missing. They aren't your Cristiano, Bale, Benzema's. I mean, they also have their fair share of off days. But I'm just telling you, if you want to bet your life on this attack to win your games, this attack isn't going to win you games. It's as simple as
exactly.
Defense. Go on.
That's a very brilliant. That's a brilliant topic. You almost there's a Hindi word for it in my head. You almost tease that topic. That's fine.
Go on.
You tease that topic of like a shelf of my head, but this is where we look for a Joselu, because a Joselu is not. It's not the idea of a number 9 who's always in the box. You'll get players like that, but you won't get a player who will consistently show up in a dire position and bail you out. And I think that's what we needed, and that void still hasn't. Because if my 9 scores 30 goals in a season, like Mbappe is on his way to now, like even last year he had a brilliant goal scoring season.
50 goals in 2025 as well.
How many games do we remember where he's genuinely, like, I'm sure there have been a few, but not enough to justify his worth as Real Madrid's number 9. How many games do we remember where he's actually pulled off a Cristiano? Right?
Yeah.
Where he's
I can remember maybe a couple of games.
1-0 down or 2-0 down to either get a result or to bring home the victory. I don't remember many games, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I say it, it's taken in the wrong sense. But this is where this club is at. We can't rely on the attack to really pull us out of games. We can't rely on the defense to really keep it tight as well. So even the midfield, it doesn't scream, we are, on the way to do something special. This is early days. I mean, Ashik is asking us, did Mbappe not score a hat-trick in the Clasico, which we lost? I mean, he did score a hat-trick, but can you really put it all on the defense for the way we actually crumble in the league? I mean, it's one game, Ashik. It's one game. You could argue it's arguably, the title decider. Early in April, right? I mean, the last couple of months, it probably would have made our job a bit more easier if we would have actually won the game. But
Yeah.
Mbappe has scored a lot of goals, has really lived up to his billing as a goal scorer, but his goals rarely,
They don't
yeah,
amount to much, not in terms
yeah,
of the amount of goals that he scores. Because I'm perfectly happy with an Mbappe season where he scores 20 goals but doesn't win the Ballon d'Or. Uh, but I'm just looking for impact, and the same
mm,
goes for Vinny. He's not. I mean, obviously, Vinny is a prisoner of what he's done and what he's achieved in the past, and the glory came for him too early in his Real Madrid career, and now we judge him based off that because uh, now there has been a downfall, but he's not the worst player in the world now. Okay, so but I do expect the same of Vinny because he's someone who used to show up in big games, and now he's suddenly gone missing. That can not be an excuse for our that cannot be a valid excuse in it for our
mm, mm.
100 million,
Ashik is
150
again,
million
at
superstars
it.
going missing.
He's mentioning, did Mbappe not score in the derby as well? I'm telling you, he is scoring in the derby, but did he score 6 goals?
I'll tell you the
He
last
didn't.
time. I'll tell you the
He
last
didn't. He
time a
scored two,
player.
right?
I'll tell you the last time a player consistently saved us. That was Jude Bellingham in his first season.
I mean, I don't know
That
why
was
Ashik can't
impact.
see it. It's hero worship at its
But
best,
can you
because
can you equate,
if
Sunil?
the likes of Ashik has eyes, he would understand what the difference is between a Jude Bellingham
Yeah,
clutch last minute winner
yeah.
and
You need
Mbappe
someone who's
racking up,
clutch.
braces, hat tricks week in week out. I don't need to spell it out to you, Ashik. To get it across. You're 10 years older than I am.
Yeah.
But
And obviously, he would say that you're wording it in a funny way, the comparison
mm,
itself. But I think even he says that the
he's
impact
again
Jude
mentioning,
had in his
didn't
first season.
Cristiano not lose the Clasico by 5-0? I was there. I saw him lose, multiple Clasicos, 5-0,
Yeah,
5-1, all of that. He lost against Atleti 4-0 and went ahead and celebrated his birthday right after. I remember all this. But guys like Cristiano, guys like Bale, guys like, even fucking Morata for a season, they came in clutch. They delivered big moments in games that mattered, in my opinion.
you can nitpick and find occasions from the past couple of seasons, but I don't think either of Vinny and Mbappe have done it.
Mm.
At least Vinny, at least for a
Well, we
couple
can,
seasons now, on a
yeah.
consistent basis. That's all.
Mm. Well, we can hope. All we can do is hope, because I don't care if Mbappe scores, hat trick at the weekend. We must win the game. If we don't win the game, if Mbappe is that good, I mean, this is unrealistic expectation, right, Ashik? I'm gonna pose you this, right? We call out the defense. Obviously, we all know the defense isn't what it is supposed to be. We are not even signing center backs. What we are signing, guys like Mbappe, Ashik. So, what would we ask the club to do then, right? What would we ask this team to do then? If the club isn't really focused on getting quality center backs, quality midfielders, quality, you know, defensive midfielders who are specialists in their position, when they go ahead and get the likes of Mbappe, what would we then ask Mbappe to do? If Atleti scores 4, if Atleti scores 5, Mbappe should score 6. There you go. So that's how you battle it. I mean, that's the only way. If your defense can't help you out, you outscore your opposition. That's on the manager. That's on the likes of Mbappe, who gets paid the big bucks. What is he on? 500,000 a week, 500K a week. So, he's going after me. It's not hero. He's saying it's not hero worship. It's called not picking on one player. I'm not picking on Mbappe
I expect the
solely.
same of Vinny. I expect the same
It's
of
Mbappe. It's
Jude.
Vinny.
Of all the big personalities in the
It's
team, if they don't show up
but
in a big game, it's on them.
when the push comes to shove, all throughout the course of history, all throughout sports history, if it's a team sport, the cream rises to the top, right? The guys
No,
who pay the big
absolutely.
bucks, they have to deliver.
Because
Mm,
Sunil, if we go and lose to Barcelona at the weekend, uh, and someone like a
mm,
Carreras or Raul Asensio makes a big mistake, a blunder that costs us the game, I'm not going to sit there and blame them. I'm gonna be blaming the guys who didn't show up with the
Mm.
goals.
Yeah,
Because
because
we know the
mistakes
defense
happen.
is
No defense is
we know the
perfect.
defense is in a sham. We know
The
the
amount of
injuries are there.
mistakes, the amount of mistakes the likes of Ramos and Varane used to commit, you know,
Yeah.
it,
We
it is
know
crazy.
that the injuries have shattered this defense
Mm.
uh, at this point in so early in the season. But none of our attackers are severely injured with long-term injuries in it. So it just doesn't add up sometimes.
Mm. Yeah. This conversation is going to go on and on.
Yeah, but who are we to sit here and ruin our moods after a 1-0 victory?
Let's just hope, we can take advantage of Barcelona, who is at complete disarray. They don't know what their line is. They don't know, who should be marking who. They look all over the place. If we are not going to win on Sunday, I don't think we are ever going to win this league, ever. Because going away to Montjuic, Camp Nou, wherever the fuck they're going to play, or the Johan Cruyff Stadium, it's not going to be a cakewalk either, because by that time, I'm pretty sure we are going to be losing more points to, the mid-table sides, the top six sides compared to Barcelona. Because like when I tell people that I have no faith in Madrid teams consistently winning the league, they scoff at me. They're like, you support Madrid, you're Madridista. Why do you have not? Why do you support your club if you don't have enough faith in the team you love? I'm just being realistic. I'm just tempering my expectations, because I've seen football long enough. I've seen Barcelona long enough to know that they are a winning machine in terms of the league. The Girona game is the perfect example. It's the latest, perfect example that you can study. Because any other sides like us, we would lose that game hands down. Simple as we would absolutely capitulate. But Barcelona, yeah, they find a way. They find a way. They always do. Um, um, quickly going on to Guler, man, fifth assist to Mbappe. I mean, the combination is single-handedly, saving a lot of our games. They seem to have an understanding that is well beyond the time they have spent together on the pitch side. It seems like.
Yeah. No, it's a very simplistic understanding, and those combinations are not really that tough to dismantle, except obviously from the opposition defense's perspective, uh, they would seem like a task and a half. But you can always see the difference between when Arda is on the pitch versus when Arda is not on the pitch, because when he's not, you see Mbappe receive the ball in all sorts of long positions. I feel like Arda understands where Mbappe or on what foot and in what stride he best receives the ball, because
Yeah.
In what minute did Arda come on? 65?
I think so. Yeah, around the 60th.
Yeah, in the
60th,
first 60
65th
in the
minute. Yeah.
first 60 minutes of that game, I didn't obviously there was that chance where he puts a tame effort with his weak foot at the keeper. But apart from that, you don't see Mbappe receive the ball in a lot of positions where he isn't either crowded in a flurry of defenders, or maybe he doesn't have the space behind his opposition central defender to get away from him and get a shot. And obviously he doesn't plant himself in the box enough to receive the ball on his chest or on his head to even talk about that from across. But the positions that he receives the ball in from Arda are firstly, obviously, he has the understanding to get into those positions. I don't doubt that he's not getting into those positions when a Jude is playing, or when Vinny is cutting in, or when Mastantuono is cutting in. I just feel like he doesn't get found enough. Arda might fail twice. He might try and slip the ball through the central defenders, and he might fail once or twice. But his link up with Mbappe has only gotten better with time. But that's something I'm excited for games to come when Arda does start consistently. His understanding with Mbappe. Obviously, the same will happen with Vinny as well when Vinny starts making those runs on a consistent basis again. Arda will be there and he will find him behind the lines, and that's some semblance of a positive that you can take from even a game like this.
Arda Guler is on scintillating form. 12 GNA this season. Fifth assist to Mbappe. This has been a nice trend. This is, I think, the only way I feel like we stand a chance against teams that are well drilled. Are going to play haram lock low blocks. This is the only way, because our very expensive players, they seldom find a way to
Yeah.
unlock a well drilled side.
No, yeah. Arda
At
Güler,
home,
he's yeah,
yeah, at home it looks different. It's away from
true,
home that I'm really worried
true.
about, because at home the visiting side is usually,
Under
their heads
pressure,
are
yeah.
gone. Yeah, their
Yeah.
heads are gone for me. But it's
They do
away,
crack under
it's
pressure,
big.
but
Yeah.
away is a completely different deal. And
Mm,
Arda Güler, to his credit, has gone a lot more smarter about um, the battles that he's not going to win and the battles
mhm,
that he might win, because he's not trying to outmuscle or outrun opposition players anymore. He just knows that if he ends up in a certain position at a certain time, he might win a foul,
mhm.
even if he doesn't get through and play a pass. So he's being very smart and very calculated about that, about his risk taking abilities. And I think that's something obviously the coaching staff and the analytical staff at Real Madrid has worked with him on. Um, but yeah, that's just improvement on a player that it's a shame, right? That the one midfielder that we've been praising since the start of the season
Yeah.
is the one midfielder who didn't play at all last season. So
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
all the guys with continuity, the are the Chouaminis and the Camavingas and even Suarez when he plays,
Mm,
Valverde's of this world, they haven't exactly come up with a goods in midfield this season. I know Jude's he has the injury factor, but
mhm.
the midfield does seem like some individuals need to show up in their best positions, in their not even preferred positions, just in their best positions
Yeah.
consistently enough, just the way Arda
Yeah.
is now.
Mhm. Yeah, I do feel like we should give Mbappe his flaws as well. The way he has basically been, the guy who is, along with Arda Güler, along with Masantono, head and shoulders above the rest, and then delivering performances and goals when we need them the most.
Yeah.
He's also not 100% fit, I don't think. He's been struggling with an ankle issue for the last couple of weeks. But then I think without him and Vinicius, without
Did he come off in
you know,
the international game?
yeah, I think so. He did. I
Yeah,
watched that game. It was a bad collision, but thankfully it wasn't that serious. And the fact that he is just pushing himself to really help this team out is reassuring. But then again, he needs help. He needs help,
yeah, of course, yeah.
and quick. Arda Güler is one man, right?
Mm.
Jude Bellingham, Vinicius, Rodrigo, all these guys has, not really lived up to the
Yeah,
standards they have set. And like you rightly mentioned, it's Mbappe who is basically, yeah,
carrying the goal scoring mantle. The only thing I'm worried about with Mbappe is that is he playing is he playing the numbers game or is he playing the impact game? Because if he's playing
mm,
purely the number game, right, he might
mm,
even win the Ballon d'Or next season, but he might not
mm.
win. Or he might not amount. His goals might not amount to much at Real Madrid. Um,
He won't win the Ballon d'Or without significant silverware. So no.
that too, but like you
Maybe in a
want,
World Cup year, you never know. I mean, if he
yes,
wins the
perhaps,
World Cup,
but
that trumps everything.
then again, right, you might have other players come up with the goods and they might score in those big games, but Mbappe might take the credit because he scored 50 goals in a year. um I just don't want him to end up being that player
Mm,
who plays the numbers game. I'm not
mm,
saying that he is, but I'm saying he could
yeah,
be,
yeah.
because he's
Ashik was
obviously
mentioning.
pushing for the Ballon d'Or now.
Well, I hope that's not the case, because chasing Ballon d'Ors, I mean, without winning major silverware is a lost cause, especially at this point. If you're not
Mhm.
Cristiano and Messi, that is, if you're Cristiano and
Yeah.
Messi, there are certain leeways around the whole thing. But Ashik was mentioning we are trying to play an attacking brand of football, possession football, without a player that can dictate the game in midfield. At this point, we should play a counter-attacking football against Barcelona's high line. You can put 50 million midfielders in the middle, but if it isn't the right balance, that it means nothing. I mean, this has been evident for at least a couple of years ever since Cruz left. It seems like we don't have that guy, but it's like this is beyond the club, man. It's almost like we can't spend 30 odd million for someone who might fit the role but isn't the star name. I'll never get it. I'll never get it. I mean, they went for Stiller, but Stiller wanted to stay in Germany. We have so many other midfielders, even in La Liga. I'm kind of a bit concerned, why we never go for La Liga prospects. It's almost like we might sign one or two, in 10 years and then call it a day. Usually they don't end up being successes. Maybe that's why they kind of get deterred. If you remember the Odriozolas, the Mendy's. But we should really look for a midfielder who has a specific skill set of controlling games, who is that recycler, who is the guy that is available for a bridge fast, because guys like Camavinga, Tchouaméni, they're box to box players. They don't have the intelligence to know when should we drop the tempo, when should we really be making runs forward. They're just trying to improvise, and they look rightly out of place. I mean, Tchouaméni plays a much deeper role. He plays as part of a pivot. It fits his attributes. It fits his temperament. But can he really play the final ball? He can't. He tries to out of desperation. But that's not where we.
It's not as if we have the dynamic midfield that would allow us to play a counter-attacking brand of football. Like Valverde at his peak, like Valverde 3 years ago, would have allowed us to play that counter-attacking brand that that
we
he's
can still
asking
play
for.
the counter-attacking brand, but I don't think Xabi Alonso is
I just feel
behind
none
that.
of our current midfielders in their current forms are best suited to either of those things at this point. So you need a ball carrier like desperately in a system that emphasizes on transitional football. But like in offensive transition, you need either Camavinga, who's at the top of his game, or a Valverde who's at the top of his game, or Bellingham, who's running his lungs out relentlessly. And unfortunately, we don't have either of those things at the moment. So that's my only concern with changing philosophy, or changing an approach.
Mbappe has scored in 11 consecutive games. That is an insane stat.
No mean feat.
Insane stat. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. Kylian Mbappe is the first Madrid player to score 10 plus goals in 9 La Liga games since Cristiano. I mean, we just need to find adequate support, for Mbappe, and just make sure that he isn't a player who is playing in his best position, and he is a player who wouldn't be able to help you against top quality defenses. It's just not going to happen. We just need to give him enough support. We just need to make sure that Mbappe gets help, and not just out of Arda Guler. It should be a team effort, like what Ashik was mentioning earlier. But I think that's pretty much it. Ashik was mentioning Alonso wanted Zubimendi, and he even held out to sign with Arsenal, and yet club ignored it. Zubimendi, I was never a fan of it. I mean, if it was between Zubimendi and nobody, I mean, why not, right? But at this point, it seems like the midfield is an afterthought. The centre-back situation is an afterthought. The striker situation, a proper striker situation, is an afterthought. So we are a very unserious operation that really isn't looking to win something big. People who I know, people close to the club, like Sid, has insinuated we don't. It's almost like if we don't win something big, it's okay. That's the general feeling inside the club. I wouldn't believe it, that easily. But when you hear stuff like that, it just when you add both sides of the equation, it kind of sticks. It kind of feels that way. Because if we desperately wanted to get back to winning ways, we would look that serious, especially in the business we do. I mean, Carreras is a statement. Is good, but is he going to win us stuff on his own? He isn't. He isn't that player. He just isn't that guy. He's not Marcelo. People act like Carreras and Hausen is going to really shake up the European Champions League order. It's not going to. Hausen has looked average at best. I have sung his praises so much for the opening weeks. His long ball playing ability, his composure, the fact that he doesn't have a weak foot, all insane. But when it comes to the basics of defending, of being a no-nonsense defender, yeah, he's that meme exactly. I mean, not the meme. I mean the chill guy, stuff that gets posted. Hands in his pockets. He doesn't like to get dirty, in my opinion. I just hope it changes. But there are certain players, the way they are designed. If you look at the likes of Saliba, he doesn't like to get dirty. He's a Rolls Royce defender who doesn't really go to the ground. Who is a much more hands-off defender. Hausen is like that. So yeah, I don't know how long he can survive being that guy, especially when he has like some Militao, who isn't a great defender in his own right to begin with. So yeah, we should really recruit some top talents across the pitch if we really need to be taken seriously again. Because I guarantee you, I speak to a lot of fans who support clubs outside Spain. They don't look at us and feel like, yeah, we're a threat. It bugs me, Sahil. It really bugs me.
Mm.
But yeah, any final thoughts?
No, it's just not the best feeling that I would want to take into a week that would comprise of Juventus and Barcelona. But to our viewers, I would want to thank them for tuning in, wherever it is they're listening from, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music. Just keep supporting us and join in for the preview for the next game.
Juve, I'm still looking for a guest. Haven't had any luck, but yeah, stay tuned, boys. I'm not sure if we're gonna actually have a preview, but for the Classico, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be having a preview. But we'll be here for the post match against Juve. We should be absolutely winning that game. I've seen Juve a couple of times. They aren't great. So they'll be looking to prove a point against us at the Bernabeu. But this is a game we should win, and yeah, really build confidence out of the Classico. Yeah, two big games. That's going to set the tone for the second half of the season. I just hope we are ready for it. Yeah, boys, big up the sponsors, big up the fans tuning in later on as well. Until next time, Hala Madrid.
Limited. Okay.